Rightio, catching up with the little brother. Hello, Granny.
Hello, big brother.
We've just done an interview. This one will go up before that. I'll tell everyone to stay tuned for the More Than a Horse on the Crest of a Wave. We've done a bit of an update there, caught up with Tracy and Mark Commodore too. So that'll be coming out probably in the next day or two. I'll be getting that one out. Just following the path of one of my brother's favourite horses, I suppose, is the best way, and my sister-in-law as well. Cares I'll be in trouble if I don't say that. But Granny, I want to have a chat to you today about a lovely, honest little trotter you're driving that's just doing a sterling job.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the penny drops. He's not too little. You may not have been up close to him because he's a very, very big boy. But yeah, he just keeps putting his foot forward and putting his nose out when it needs to. Today was a lot harder at Maryborough. His previous two wins, the Kilmore Trotters Cup, he did it relatively easy on the night. And although he sat in a death, he didn't actually have that hard a run because he simply lobbed outside the leader. There wasn't a lot of tempo early. We quickened within the last sort of 1,000 and he out-toughed them. And then he went to Swan Hill and he had a little bit on them. It was a little bit harder, the race at Swan Hill. He had to do a little bit of work to get around to the death, but he still won really nice. But today, as expected, Christopher Alford, as he does, clearly, took something out of the Kilmore Trotters Cup and decided, well, I won't let Grant dictate the terms today. I'll dictate them. And he very, very nearly pinched it. But thankfully, Big Ronnie, as he's affectionately known, just wouldn't lay down and, just kept coming and managed to get back up the inside and put his head in front right on the line.
His name is because, now it's been well documented, but basically the penny drops because he wouldn't go at all when he was first broken in. And this is one thing, you hear a lot of people, it won't go, just get rid of it, it'll be no good. But he was a rogue, wasn't he? When Ray first started with him, he was a rogue.
Yeah, look, I didn't really know that part of the story up until now, because he's never been a horse that's been put in the limelight at all until after winning the Kilmore Trotters Cup. And then obviously people have asked the question about the name and now the story has been told. So I didn't know that story until recently. But yeah, the story is that he wouldn't even go forward when they were trying to break him in and, mouth him up with the gear on. He would not go forward. He would go backwards, but he wouldn't go forwards. And one day Ray's partner walked past him and he decided that he would follow her. And then Ray said, well, you need to keep walking in front of him. And so they did, and they walked the lap of the track and the horse decided that was okay. And then after that, clearly the penny dropped and he decided that going forward wasn't that bad. And then, it's a long time from then till now. And I'm sure there may have been times that Ray might have questioned whether the horse might be any good or not. But as soon as he stepped foot on the racetrack, he showed that he had above average ability. It was probably more a matter of maturity because he's always been a very big horse. And, I made comment to Ray today, I've driven him on and off through his career a little bit. And at times he felt awkward. He may have felt a little bit not quite so genuine at times. But my comment today to Ray was when you look at him now as a 5-year-old filled out, you can clearly see why he went through those stages as a young horse because he clearly was not mature enough at the time.
And you say about being genuine, you cannot question that at the minute, especially after today's win. But you put the three of them, you go back to Kilmore. Kilmore was a brilliant win, I reckon. The way it was a brilliant race to watch, and it was the best horse won with 400 metres to go. There was three of his, the other Kai Valley horse, which Chief was on your back.
Valley, yep.
And it was basically there for one of the three of yous to win. You then went to Swan Hill, and you were probably a sitting duck in a way at Swan Hill. You got to the front, about 400 to go, and you were there to be run over.
Yeah, that's right. Look, so I sort of see it differently. Kilmore was a good win, but Kilmore turned into almost a one-lap race. As far as Robbie Royale goes and the penny drops and Kai Valley Chief go, we did very little in the first two and a bit laps at Kilmore. We lobbed where we lobbed after 200 metres. we didn't go super hard, and then we ran a good, strong last lap. That gave me a lot of confidence that the horse travelled so well. I thought, barring accidents at Swan Hill, he would just toy with them. And you should never, ever think that, because we were drawn inside the second row and all we wanted was a nice, safe getaway. We took one step, and then Kai Valley Chief, who was next to me with Greg driving him, and through no fault of Greg's, he went into a gallop and come sideways and come into me. And it was a matter of millimetres of Greg's wheel hitting my back leg, hitting Ronnie's back leg. And I just had to grab hold of him and wait. And thankfully, Greg got his horse back to a trot and come away from him. But we lost any advantage that we had over, the horses out wider than us or the back markers. So we all of a sudden went from thinking that we might be in an okay place to all of a sudden being out the back. So Josh was stuck 3 wide on Aldebaran Crescent, and I thought, well, if he gets a death, he won't keep it, so I'll follow him. And that looked to be a perfect sort of scenario when it first happened. Well, then again, we had, I think it was, now I've had a mental blank, whoever was in the death that night, I think it was Chris again. It was Chris again. Decided that, no, I'm not sure that I want to let you go. So we, the leader kicked up Johnny Justice, and all of a sudden I thought, hang on a minute, we're going to be stuck 3 wide all the way here. And if Josh has to come backwards, I've either got to go backwards with him or 4 wide around him. Well, thankfully, when the question got asked, Josh then got the death, and then I got the death off him. But we did a lot of work to get to the death that night. And turning into the back straight, I was unsure how much we had left. But as soon as the big fella levelled up with Hatchback, then all of a sudden he just felt enormous. And, we had Aldebaran Crescent on our back that night, who's a lovely mare. She had every chance to run us down, but she was probably taken out of her comfort zone slightly by the work that she did early. She still went amazing. But he's one of these horses that, it's funny, I said before that he might not have felt that genuine at times, but when I think back to him, he's a horse that's never, ever gone slower, within the last 400 metres, is probably fair to say. Once he gets up to his speed, he can sustain it. And that night at Swan Hill, he did. He looked a sitting duck, but then all of a sudden nothing made any ground on him. And today was probably evident of that. Chris put him under pressure a long way out, a 28 dead down the back. And then we were in a fair bit of trouble. But the big fella, he just kept going to one pace today, that last 400 metres. And I'd say Robbie Royale just tired the last 50, and that was what got us over the line first.
Can we just go back a touch? When they went away, you got Robbie, as you said, Chris Elford, can fire away from the stand. You just had that little bit of traffic in front of you, and you ended up with Brownlow Prince and he in front or outside of you, basically. So you had to sit there and wait. As soon as Brownlow Prince, although he hadn't actually quite crossed when you did take off, but you knew you had to get there quick, because Brownlow Prince is another horse that doesn't mind sitting in the death, especially in these sort of cup field style races.
You're right. When we went into the first turn, I thought today I'm 3 on the second on the 10 metre markers. There's only 3 in front of us. I thought maybe one of the big, sorry, not a big issue, but he just can't be bustled early. So he steps quite good and he wants to trot. And there's no worries that way. But you've got to let him find his feet early. Same thing happened at Kilmore. We were off the front row at Kilmore, and Billy Royale was 10 metres behind me and was up outside me very quickly early. And I wasn't in a position where I could sort of draw the whip and say, I'm going with you, Chris. You couldn't do that. So today was a little bit similar. I was hoping that I might have been able to step well enough to be in front of a few of those horses. Brownlow Prince has been a little bit hit or miss at the stand. Obviously, he went away good tonight. And then today, when Billy Royale was up outside the leader and Chris was 3 wide on Brownlow Prince, I thought, okay, this will be interesting. I think Billy Royale will get the front, and then Brownlow Prince will get the death. And I was very mindful of that fact. I've watched Brownlow Prince a lot, and he races very well in death. So I'm thinking, okay, what do we do here? So I tried to time it that Chris hadn't crossed to the death yet. And I thought he's probably thinking a little bit about that. And if I put myself there very quickly, he's got to make his mind up really quickly. And he had a quick glance over his shoulder when I came. And I'm not sure whether, if it was any other horse than the penny drops, whether he might have kicked up. But he, history says that he handed up. He obviously thought, well, I'm going to get a pretty good run from here. I'll sit on that one. And I probably had enough momentum that we might have got past him anyway. So there was a little bit of tactics there early. I'm fortunate that I was driving a horse that I knew was pretty strong, and you can make these moves on. You can soon look like a fool making moves like this on horses that aren't as strong as the penny drops. So that definitely helps.
What were you thinking? Robbie Royale kicks halfway down the back. Well, it wasn't halfway down the back, but I suppose at 400. And you went down the back in 28.9. Is that right? I think it was about 28.9 down the back. It was fairly strong.
28 dead down the back.
28 dead for
yes.
Over a 2,600 metre standing start race. Trotters have come a long way. Did you think, well, we're going to have to resort, we're done for second, or did you always think you had half a chance of being able to catch Robbie up?
So I guess at Kilmore I was fortunate enough that the horse was travelling so well, and I don't know this. I don't know whether Chris, whether he might have underrated the horse that night. I honestly don't know, and I don't mean that in any negative way, but I don't think he believed the horse would go as good as what he did, because he probably hadn't previously against that class. And as I said earlier, Chris clearly learned from that, and today he started running, probably 100 metres earlier than when I put the foot down at Kilmore, and that got the big fella off the bit. And when he gets off the bit, he can lug on one rein a little bit and want to get in, and that happened. And he'd had a little bit of a gap between Swan Hill and now, and whether that had a little effect on him. At Swan Hill, he felt amazing after backing up after Kilmore. Obviously, we're probably 2.5 weeks, I think, since Swan Hill, or a little bit over. And I'm not sure whether that's a perfect scenario for him. There was no other races, so that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Then Chris went the 28 dead down the back, and we were under a lot of pressure, and I was hanging in quite a bit outside Anthony on the turn, and was very close to his legs and trying not to cause him any interference. And I was confident that if I could get to the fence behind Chris, that I think I'm still a chance, because one, I knew that the big fella would keep going, and two, I don't mean this derogatively to Robbie Royale, but I thought with Chris letting him run so far from home, there's going to be a bottom somewhere, and it's possibly going to be before the line. And I think that's what got the penny drops over the line, was that he, as I said, he didn't go any faster, but I think the last 50 metres, Robbie Royale was spent, and he just got a bit tired and a little bit leg weary, and he got a fraction slower. And he managed to keep going, but it was a fair slug up the straight, I can tell you that.
He's a beautiful horse. Robbie Royale, he is, for connections, I feel for him in a way. He is a lovely horse. He actually holds, I'm pretty sure he still does, a standing start track record at Bendigo for the 2,100 metres though. And in the back of my mind, he either beat Pink Galah before she burst right onto the scene, or she got up and beat him at Bendigo. Like, his form when he first came was sensational. Then he just sort of, he just got a little bit lost. Now he seems to have found his mark. I think Lils has worked him out. Puppet's probably worked him out a little bit. He's a lovely horse. He'll be sick of the sight of you guys. He'd be like, wish he'd disappear.
Yeah, he probably will. I guess, for his connections, he's won 170,000. He's done a wonderful job, and he'll continue to keep winning races. He's such a lovely, honest horse. I looked that race you're talking about. It was only about his 4th start in Australia, and he broke 2 minutes for the stand at Bendigo that night, going 159.8. He's a brilliant horse. Maybe, just maybe, and again, I don't mean to be derogative to that horse, but he might not see the long trips out as well as what the penny drops does. Put him in 2,200 metre stands, and we probably might not get near him. Chris can probably run the 2-minute mile rate from the stand, and we might not be able to get near him. But what was shown at Kilmore was this horse just loves distance, and if they run more races over 3,000 metres, this horse would win a lot more races.
Yeah, well, if Sky Channel are watching, put more long distance racing on. They're better races, full stop. Standing starts, they're better races too, but we won't even go there. Granny will cause all sorts of grief. I love trotters, mate. I love promoting the industry. I love my brother and all the rest. I just love these battles. You say you've been derogatory to Robbie Royale. I just hope you guys keep meeting, because I think it's great. Like, it's Robbie's nearly going to always be in front of you, especially with the standing start manners that he's got at the minute. And you know, your big fella just got to come around and sit outside of him, and they're just great races. You can't fault them. I think Robbie ran third at Swan Hill. He's ran second tier at Kilmore, second tier today. I think it's great, and they're just great little subplots for these country cups coming up that make our industry so much fun.
Yeah, that's right. And as I said to you earlier in a phone call, when I got up outside Chris with 2 laps to go, he looked across and he goes, "Righto, mate, let's do battle again." And you know, he summed it up perfectly. I'm not sure if he realised that in 2 laps' time, how dogged a battle we would be doing it. But yeah, you know, he sort of realised at the time that you know, these two horses have got a pretty good rivalry, and we've got the wood on him at the minute, but that's going to get harder from now on. We'll probably be well, there's not that many of these stands in the near future for him, so that's something that he's going to have to, you know, Ray said today after the race that he's probably going to have to go around in one of the free-for-alls at Maryborough over the next fortnight. There's 2 free-for-alls.
Yep.
There's one next Sunday and one the Sunday after. Unfortunately for this horse, they're both 2100 metre mobiles, or 2190. So that's going to be tricky for him, but he's at the class now that he has to experiment with that. He'd love to take him to the Inter-Dominion, so he needs to, 1, get back in the draw, and 2, get some experience from the mobile and see how he handles it, and see whether it's not a waste of time going to Sydney if, you know, if COVID restrictions and everything like that allow him to go. So
I think it's one of the great things, and for mine, like we did one before, as I said, about more than a horse and about breeding. The one thing with trotters, they can come from anywhere, and they can do it. Like I work, you know, I do a lot of work for Aldebaran Park. I do a lot of work for harassed trotters, even Woodlands with What the Hill. People have these really high-priced trotters that do a great job. Danny Boucher, you know, up the road, does a great job. It's a great family with a lot of Australian history in it, and things like that. Horses can come from anywhere. You know, he's a horse that didn't want to go. If his wife hadn't walked past, you wonder what would have happened to the penny drops if the wife hadn't decided, I'm going to go for a walk. You know, where he might have ended up.
Exactly, and he is clear proof of that, Paul. If you look at his project, his breeding, his mother had 1 start and ran an 8th and was clearly not much good. Now, I could get this wrong. I think there's 1 other horse to race out of her, and it did not win a race. It only might have had half a dozen starts. The Grandam, the mother's mother, had possibly 5 live foals. Only the Penny Drops mother raced, and that was only 1 start, and there was nothing else out of that progeny. So he's in his breeding line, he is a freak. He might not be a freak as far as where he ends up on the racetrack. He's a very, very good horse. Freak's a bit of a crazy statement, but as far as his breeding goes, he is a freak. And Jason Bonington put something on social media today, and it probably sums him up very well. He said, "The Penny Drops represents everything that has ever been or ever will be virtuous and beautiful about the sport of harness racing." And that is the case. You know, today Robbie Orber, you know, was talking about Ray and, you know, how harness racing allows people to do this. And I said, yeah, you look at, you know, no disrespect to them, but the Caulfield Cup the day before was won by a freak of a galloper who, you know, was found by some prominent owners, and I'm pretty sure they paid a lot of money for him, and he's trained by a high-profile trainer. And yes, he went amazing. He is a freak of a horse, but you know, that's one extreme, and then harness racing can produce the complete alternate to that extreme, and that's pretty much what the Penny Drops, or Rotten Ronnie, as he's sometimes known as, he is. And Ray sort of, you know, he's a credit to what he's done with the horse and the patience that he's shown. I'm just lucky to be on him at the minute.
Chris Elford, he would have said Rotten Ronnie right on the line. I'm tipping when you come back underneath him.
I'm tipping he would have.
We've known Chris for a long time, so we know. And anyone that does know Chris, he's he probably just enjoys the battle, I would imagine too. I think, you know, these are good. And it's good to see stories like this. And we keep saying about Robbie Royale, we're not being disrespectful. I'm sure their owners are having a rep and run with him as well. And the fact that he's found some form back is really, really good for them too. So I think well done to them. Well done to you, Grano. You're taking a little bit of a backward step as far as harness racing. Personally, I wish you weren't, but that's okay. You are taking one back, and I won't change you. I do appreciate what you did last night. it's all good, but I still think these stories are sensational. And thank you very much for giving me a bit of time, mate, and telling the story about Rotten Ronnie.
My pleasure, and let's hope Rotten Ronnie's story continues to be put up in lights.
And it is true, you're not giving up either, because we've got a Danny Boucher here that you just can't wait to get back in the cart and drive. Is that right?
So long as it goes as good as Rotten Ronnie, I'll turn up and drive it. But somehow I'm not sure that yours will. But we'll see.
Grant's not big on the breed, and I think he might not realise Lucinda's by Danny Boucher.
Oh yes, yeah, the lovely Lucinda. Yeah, I'll probably be working late that day. So ring the Candyman or Karen.
that's family love. You'll get a clip out behind the ear. Very quickly, Grady. Last night, I'm going to say Dublin Chubb. It's Plymouth Chubb.
Plymouth.
Amazing.
Yep.
What was the feedback from Kez? There's been plenty written about him and all the rest, but what was Kez's feedback?
I haven't actually spoken to her about him. We have spoken about him in the past, and she has said how he just feels so strong, and he races that way. Last night was probably the hardest field that he's met. He had to come around them, and he did a lot of work. And I hope I'm not out of line by saying this, but he had a couple of tiny setbacks after stall. There were a few little issues. Nothing serious, but he was forced to miss a little bit of work, and then so put all that into the pot and mix it up, and then give him barrier 12 or 13 or whatever he drew, and it was going to be a hard task, but he was up to it. I'm not sure if people know the full story about him, and that he probably, well, you shouldn't say that he should be unbeaten, but he probably could be unbeaten. The only time he was beaten was his first start. And he was actually involved in a car accident on the way to the trots that night. Peter and Karen were almost at Melton, and the car turned very sharply in front of them, didn't give way to them at all. And they hit that car, and that car rolled. This was right at the intersection at the bridge just before Melton. And so the horse probably, got knocked around or hit the chest bar or whatever. And he got to the track, and he seemed fine. He was vetted and everything, and he was past fit to run. But it probably jaded him fraction for that night, and he got beaten. And then since then, he's made it safely to the races every time and hasn't been beaten. So he clearly looks like he could be. Well, he's already an amazing trotter, and if he keeps going the way he's going, he could be the next big thing.
That's a brilliant story. I didn't know that. I don't know how many people do know that at all.
Yeah, it's all because of the. Unfortunately, now when we come off the Western Highway to go to the Melton Trots, you have two options. You can go left and go down to the roundabout, the first roundabout at Melton near the big Bunnings, and do a full lap of the roundabout, which seems to be the long way. We used to always be able to just turn right. Now there is so much traffic that comes along, and depending on the time of night. And I think that first meeting was a midweek meeting, so there was a lot of people coming home from work at the time. So Peter went down and around the roundabout, and Karen assures me that Peter wasn't speeding or anything. And there was a delivery van, and they couldn't believe the van actually stopped and gave way, and then all of a sudden took off. And right at the last second, and they clipped it. The van rolled and then actually blocked the entry to the freeway. So there was traffic banked up everywhere. And Plymouth Chubb was on the float when that happened. So, and he went and. He clearly showed ability that night. He got it a little bit wrong. I think he got it wrong early. I'm not sure if he galloped off the mark or he galloped into the first corner. Lost a lot of ground, but made up a lot of ground, and clearly showed that there was ability there. And then the rest is history. He's gone on to show that there was more than just a little bit of ability.
Oh, there's heaps of ability. And again, back to the trotters, and what I love about our industry and the likes. Peter Manning was noted as the king of the kids, and he's trained a lot of good horses and all the rest, but he's possibly been most fondly remembered for his association with a horse called Night Pistol that took both him and Kessie on the world stage, now he's in the twilight of his careers. I hope he doesn't mind that. He might give me a backhander when I see him next. I know he doesn't want to give the sport up in any sense, but he's got this young trotter, and I'm sure it's put a fair bit of spring back into his step. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously, we don't want to waffle on too much about it. But you did a recent interview podcast with Pat Driscoll, and this horse's family got mentioned in that conversation because he's one of those ones. Pat's a forward thinker and trying lots of things with the breeding of the trotters, and this horse is along those lines that Pat wants to try as far as introducing some pacing blood into trotting families to develop that speed, and that's exactly what this horse is from. The Pocket Fantasy, Kim's Fantasy line. There's paces there. There's pacing blood there, and there's been a lot of good horses come out of those families. And I believe the owner Gary Benson is still breeding, and there could be another Plymouth Chub along the way. I think they'll accept another Plymouth Chub, but they don't want another Dublin Chub. They can keep them ones. He's a bit of a rogue.
I saw him at stall. I think Mick Bellman might have bit his tongue a couple of times because I think Mick thought he might have had him, and then he just loses him. He is. We don't. It's definitely Plymouth, not Dublin. That's for sure. But no, he's a lovely horse, and he'll be at Redwood. Very, very quickly. That was just a chat I had with Pat Driscoll. I encourage everyone to. You can actually listen to it as a podcast, or it's on here. But one of the best horses they've seen in the North America this year is a horse called Captain Corey, who's out of a Cam Fella. Whose father is by Cam Fella and goes back to the trotting, and he's driven by a Swedish guy that went to America, Aki, and just setting the world on fire. Chris Finazio I interviewed him the other night after he won a race at Kilmore, and he tells me he's the greatest. He said he could just sit there and watch him all day. He's just an amazing person just to watch. So I love what we can do, and Pat's theory and what Pat said was that we are so lucky here in what we're able to do with our breeding and being able to experiment with it and try different things is what grows our sport. And again, we spoke earlier, Pat and Duncan, they bring out some of the best bred horses from North America, France, Sweden, everywhere else. Yet here's a homebred horse. I'm pretty sure he's got to be safely kept bred back in the family at the back there. Or there's a couple of nice pacing sires in that family. And he looks like being our best 2-year-old this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Couldn't echo everything you've said more highly. And obviously one of the best producers that Pat's got there is the mare that raced from here, La Cucaracha. And I still, I never drove her in a race, but I did drive her here in track work a bit, and I would probably say she's the best horse I've ever driven. It was like driving a Ferrari when she straightened up the long straight here at Peters. She used to struggle on the corner, but as soon as she could get free of laying on the lugging pole and get her head rock up, she was just literally poetry in motion. And Pat has, I don't mean this derogatory, but has milked her progeny for everything and is developing an amazing broodmare band that's come from La Cucaracha and Dance Craze and Umbalalur, and we could see some amazing things come. We already have, but we could see even more in the future. And hopefully they're all conversations that spark interest in our breeding. And, as a younger person, it never even crossed my mind to breed horses. And now we've got two mares in foal this year. We've got, and we've already got them both lined up to go again next year. Our Surfer Girl, for interest's sake, will be going back to Art Major next year. So, we're going to try and do our little bit and see where we end up.
Absolutely. I think there's nothing better than breeding your own. We bred one the other night, won a maiden race at Kilmore, and it is just a good thrill. But when they're trotting, I think it's even better because it's just such a pure and natural gait. We talk about La Cucaracha. I am going to let you go, Greenie, but I will encourage everyone. They all talk about great races and all the rest. I can't remember Henry McDermott's horse, but it was Game Bid and La Cucaracha into Dominion at Harold Park. Gavin posts Keren, Henry posts Gavin. Gavin led. Henry led. Gavin was in the death. Kezi got stuck 3 deep. Kezi won. She beat Gavin. Henry ran third. It just, from about 2 laps out at Harold Park, it was on, and it's just a brilliant race to watch. And three.
So you're wrong. Sorry, Gavin won. Keren didn't win. You just said Keren won, beat Gavin, but no, that was She didn't win that Inter Dominion, unfortunately. Gavin's, that was one of, there would be a million races that you could say Gavin Lang just outdrove everyone. That was probably one of the most important races that he ever did. He used the Harold Park track to his advantage. And I think when he kicked up underneath Karen, she almost had the opportunity to get back behind him. Gavin grabbed hold, make sure that didn't happen, and just left her 3 wide. She went enormous that night, but without doubt, the drive of Gavin Lang won that Inter Dominion.
And it's a tactical and sterling. You're right. I apologise for that, but yeah, it was just a brilliant race to watch. And even Henry Wakari Patricia, maybe
Wakari Gold.
Wakari Gold. That's right.
Wakari Gold.
Yeah. Electing to hold the front, and he held off everyone else. And yeah, fair to say they may have all got a little bit of a suspension nowadays with their whips. Even Gavin would have, but it was a great race, and that's why you love trotting. Granny, I could talk to you for ages. We've actually done 2 things. I think we spoke for over an hour. Thank you very much, mate. Well done today, Rotten Ronnie. Better than the penny drops, or what was the one I always come up with? I won't even go there. Drop us a line. Yeah, I keep getting them confused, but yeah, well done. Very, very good.
Showing your age.
Yeah, I am showing my age. I'm feeling it too. Thank you very much, Granny. Congratulations today. Well done to Ray as well, and many more country cups over the long distance standing starts. May he be able to race in. Thank you, mate.
Thank you very much, Billy.